Rain poured endlessly over the silent mining outpost, the kind of rain that seemed to wash away all sound and warmth. Jack worked alone inside the dim station, fixing old cables and checking the flickering power cells. He had been sent here as a repair engineer for forgotten machines on a forgotten planet, and most days were just quiet, lonely, and gray. But that night something felt different, something heavy in the air as if the storm itself carried a warning. Then over the sound of thunder came a soft, broken cry. Jack froze, his tools still in his hands. The sound came again, closer this time, mixed with footsteps splashing through puddles outside. He walked toward the entrance and opened the metal door just enough to see through the rain. A figure stumbled into the light, small, trembling, and soaked to the bone. It was a young alien girl, maybe 15 in human years, with faintly glowing skin that shimmered under the lightning. Her large blue eyes were filled with fear, her thin hands clutching a small metallic bag against her chest. "Please," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Please don't let my father find me." Jack blinked, unsure if he had heard right. "Your father?" he asked slowly. She nodded quickly, her silver hair sticking to her face. "He's coming. They're coming. You must hide me." Before Jack could ask more, a distant humming sound cut through the storm, a deep mechanical vibration that made the walls tremble. He recognized it immediately. Not thunder, engines, heavy ones, ships. Jack stepped back, motioning her inside. "Get in," he said. "Now." She ran inside, dripping water onto the floor, still clutching that strange bag. Jack sealed the door behind her and turned off the main lights. Only the small emergency lamp glowed, painting her face in pale orange light. "Who's coming after you?"
he asked again.
"My father's soldiers," she said softly. "They'll kill anyone who helps me." Jack frowned. "Why would your own father do that?" She looked down, tears mixing with rain on her face. "Because I stole something. Something he wants." Jack's eyes moved to the bag she held so tightly. It looked heavy and old, marked with strange glowing symbols. "What's in there?" he asked. She shook her head. "You don't want to know. If he finds it, he'll destroy everything. Please, just hide me, please." Outside, lightning flashed again and the humming grew louder. Jack could now see the faint shadows of alien drones moving in the rain, scanning the ground with blue lights. They were close. Very close. Jack had been alone for months. He hadn't seen another living soul in weeks, but something in the girl's trembling voice stirred something inside him. Maybe it was the fear in her eyes, or maybe it was the simple fact that she asked him for help. "Follow me," he said quickly. He led her down the narrow corridor to an old maintenance shaft. It was dark, filled with dust and spare wires, but big enough for her to crawl inside. "Stay here," he whispered.
"Don't make a sound."
"No matter what happens." She nodded, eyes wide, and crawled inside the shaft, clutching her bag close to her chest. Jack closed the metal cover gently and returned to the main room. Moments later, the door shook with a heavy knock. Jack's heart pounded. He grabbed his wrench, useless against what might come, but held it tight anyway. The door slid open. 3 armored alien soldiers stood outside, glowing visors scanning the room. Their leader stepped forward and spoke in a deep, cold tone. "Human, we are searching for someone. A young female of our kind. Have you seen her?" Jack forced himself to stay calm. "No," he said evenly. "Haven't seen anyone in days." The soldier's eyes narrowed behind his helmet. He looked around, scanning the room with a small device. Jack's pulse raced. The device beeped near the maintenance shaft, but then went silent. After a few tense seconds, the soldiers turned away. "If you see her," the leader said, "report immediately. She is dangerous." They left, disappearing into the storm. Jack exhaled slowly, wiping sweat from his forehead. He opened the shaft cover and helped the girl out. She was shaking, her eyes wide with fear and gratitude. "You lied for me," she said softly. Jack gave a small shrug. "Guess I did." She looked toward the door where rain still dripped from the metal frame. "You don't understand," she said in a whisper. "He'll never stop looking, not until he finds me and what I carry." Jack frowned, staring at the strange glowing bag. For the first time, he felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold air. Whatever she was running from, it wasn't just family trouble. It was something much bigger. And as thunder rolled again across the dark sky, Jack realized his lonely outpost had just become the center of something far more dangerous than he could ever imagine. The storm had calmed, but the night felt even heavier. Rain turned to mist, wrapping the mining outpost in a silent fog. Jack moved quietly through the narrow corridors, checking the scanners for any signs of movement. The girl, still clutching her metallic bag, sat near the heater, shivering in her soaked clothes. Her glowing skin dimmed as if the fear inside her was stealing her light. Jack handed her a dry blanket from the supply locker. "You can stay here for now," he said softly, "but I need to know what I'm dealing with." "Who's after you?" She looked at him with tired eyes, hesitating. "They are called Seekers," she said. "My father sent them. They can track anything, even a heartbeat." Before Jack could ask more, a faint mechanical hum rose in the distance. It grew louder by the second. The girl's eyes widened in terror. "That's them," she whispered. "They've found me." Jack ran to the window and saw shapes emerging through the fog, 3 alien patrol drones and 2 armored soldiers sweeping the ground with bright blue scanners. Their armor glowed with the same symbol engraved on the girl's metallic bag, a spiral surrounded by flame-like patterns. "Get down," Jack hissed. He turned off the interior lights and motioned her toward the back hall. "There's an old maintenance shaft. Hide there again. Don't make a sound." The girl nodded quickly and crawled inside the shaft, holding her breath as Jack sealed the metal cover. Moments later, the main door rattled under heavy fists. The mechanical voice outside barked, "Human engineer, open this door immediately." Jack took a deep breath and pressed the control pad. The metal door slid open, and 2 tall alien soldiers stepped in, their armor gleaming wet under the station's emergency lights. One scanned the room while the other pointed a weapon directly at Jack. "You are in restricted territory," said the taller one. A fugitive was seen entering this area. Female, small, silver skin. "Where is she?" Jack met the soldier's cold gaze and shrugged. "You think I'd be crazy enough to hide someone from your kind? I've been alone here for months. Check the logs." The alien walked slowly around the room, his scanner buzzing softly. It stopped near the maintenance hatch. Jack's heartbeat thundered in his ears. The soldier's finger hovered over the panel, ready to open it. "Nothing here," said the second soldier. "Her life signal ended near the valley. Probably dead." The first soldier stared at Jack for a moment longer, then stepped back. "If you see her," he said, voice sharp, "you will report it. The one she carries is forbidden. It belongs to the High Lord only." With that, they turned and left, the door closing behind them. Jack stood still for several seconds, his breath shaky. Then he hurried to the shaft and lifted the cover. The girl crawled out slowly, her eyes wide and shining with tears. "They almost found me," she whispered. "If they had scanned deeper, they would have known." Jack wiped sweat from his forehead. "You've got to tell me what's inside that thing," he said, nodding at her metallic bag. Those soldiers weren't just searching, they were scared. The girl held the bag closer to her chest. "It's called the Heart of Alaris," she said softly. "My father created it using forbidden science. It can bring back the dead or erase entire minds. He wants to use it to control the galaxy." Jack blinked. "And you stole it?" She nodded. "Because my mother died trying to stop him. Before she died, she told me to take the heart and run. She said there was one place in the stars where someone would help me. And that place was Earth." Jack stared at her, stunned. "You came all the way here for help from humans." She smiled faintly through her fear. "My mother believed humans had something our kind lost long ago." Kindness. Jack turned to the window. The patrol lights were fading into the mist, but he knew they'd be back. "You can stay here for now," he said. "But if your father really wants that thing, he won't stop." "And neither will I." The girl looked up, confused. "You'll help me?" Jack nodded, his eyes hard but calm. "You asked me not to let him find you. I keep my word." Outside, thunder rumbled again, low, distant, and growing louder. The alien search patrol had left, but Jack could sense something far more dangerous approaching. Deep in the sky, hidden behind clouds, an enormous ship waited, its engines humming like a storm made of metal and vengeance. The night passed in silence, but neither Jack nor the alien girl slept. The storm had faded, leaving behind a heavy stillness that pressed on the walls of the small outpost. The girl sat near the dim heater, her metallic bag resting beside her feet. She kept glancing at it as if it were alive, as if it might suddenly move. Jack watched her quietly from the other side of the room, his mind full of questions that wouldn't rest. He wanted to ask her 100 things. Who her father truly was, what the Heart of Alaris could really do, why she risked everything to steal it, but the fear in her eyes stopped him. Instead, he focused on repairing the outpost's signal jammer, hoping it would block any tracking pulses coming from orbit. When he looked up again, she had fallen asleep, curled up under a blanket, her face calm for the first time since she arrived. The faint blue glow under her skin had dimmed. Like the dying embers of a star, her bag, however, still pulsed softly with a strange light. Every few seconds it released a quiet hum, almost like a heartbeat. Jack frowned. Something about that sound felt wrong. It was too regular, too alive. He moved closer. Kneeling beside the bag, the surface of the metal was covered in fine alien etchings, patterns that shifted when the light touched them. He ran his fingers over them, feeling a faint warmth. Curiosity burned inside him. He knew she told him not to open it. But if that device could bring more soldiers or even destroy the station, he needed to understand what he was protecting. Slowly he unclasped the silver latch. A hiss of air escaped, and a soft light spilled into the room. Inside, wrapped in a dark cloth, was a small glass sphere no bigger than his fist. It glowed with a soft golden hue, swirling with lights like tiny galaxies inside. Jack reached out and touched it. The moment his fingers brushed the surface, the world around him vanished. Suddenly, he wasn't in the outpost anymore. He was standing in a vast field of burning skies. Tall alien towers crumbled around him. Rivers of molten metal flowed through ruined cities. And above it all, a towering figure stood, an alien lord with the same glowing eyes as the girl. His voice thundered through Jack's mind. No one will take what is mine. Then Jack saw the girl, younger, holding her mother's hand as they ran from the fire. The woman pushed her daughter into a small ship and said, "Run, child. Take the heart and never return." Before the image faded, Jack saw the mother struck down by the same glowing spear that her father carried. The vision shattered and Jack fell backward with a gasp. The sphere rolled onto the floor, pulsing faster. The girl jolted awake, her eyes wide with terror. "You opened it," she cried, rushing to grab the sphere. "Now he knows. The signal, it's calling him." "What are you talking about?" Jack shouted, standing up. "It showed me things, your world, your father. What is this thing?" Tears welled in her eyes as she clutched the orb to her chest. "It's not just a weapon," she whispered. "It's alive. It's my mother's soul captured before she died. My father wanted to use her power to rule the galaxy. I took it to keep her free." Jack stared. Speechless, the air grew heavy, the lights flickered, and a deep vibration echoed through the floor. The old radar on the wall suddenly blinked to life, displaying a large energy signature approaching from orbit. The girl's voice trembled. "He's found us." Jack ran to the control panel, trying to shut down the outpost systems, but it was too late. The heart of Alaris had already sent a pulse, a beacon across the stars. In the sky above, hidden behind layers of storm clouds, something massive moved, a dark shape blocking the faint starlight. "He's coming," she whispered, staring at the ceiling as if she could see through it. "My father is coming!" Jack gritted his teeth. He wanted to scream at himself for opening the bag, but there was no time for guilt now. "Then we have to move," he said firmly, grabbing a small energy rifle from the storage locker. "If he's coming for that thing, we'll make sure he doesn't get it." The girl looked at him with wide eyes. "You'll fight him?" "You can't, he commands fleets." Jack loaded the rifle, the old weapon humming weakly to life. "I've faced worse odds." "I'm human," he said. "We don't give up. Even when it's impossible." Outside, thunder cracked again, but this time it wasn't the weather. It was the sound of engines roaring through the clouds. The first alien dropship descended toward the outpost, lights cutting through the darkness. Jack glanced at the girl, her silver hair reflecting the fire from the sky. "Get ready," he said quietly. "The real storm is here." And as the first blast shook the ground beneath them, the heart of Alaris glowed brighter, as if it, too, was waiting for what would come next. The ground shook beneath the outpost as alien ships broke through the clouds, thunder rolling behind them like the roar of angry gods. Jack stared at the radar, watching dozens of red dots swarm toward the station, each one a hunter closing in beside him. The alien girl held the glowing orb tightly, her small hands trembling. "He's here," she whispered, her voice hollow. "My father has come." Jack clenched his jaw. "Then we make sure he regrets it," he said, running to the main control console. The outpost was built long ago for mining, but humans always prepared for more than work. Deep inside its systems were old defense codes, rusted, forgotten weapons left from another war. Jack typed fast, pulling up the hidden network. "If these cannons still work," he muttered,
"We might have a chance." The girl's glowing eyes widened. You can fight him?
His fleet covers the sky. Jack gave a quick grin. Humans are small too, he said. But we bite hard. The girl stared at him for a long moment, confused yet amazed by his calmness. You don't even know him, she said softly. You don't understand what he can do, Jack turned toward her. Then tell me, he said. Tell me who your father really is. Her lips trembled. She held the glowing orb close and spoke as the wind howled through the cracks in the wall. His name is Lord Zyron, ruler of the dominion of Alaris. He conquered half the Orion Rim. He built the heart to store life, to capture souls and memories. He wanted to make himself a god. My mother tried to stop him, so he killed her. She paused, her voice breaking. But before she died, she trapped her mind inside the heart. She wanted me to find someone strong enough to destroy it, someone who could never be tempted by its power. Jack looked at the orb, its light pulsing gently. So she sent you to humans, he said. That's quite a lot of faith. She believed humans were different, the girl said quietly, that your kind fights for others, not for power. Jack smiled faintly. Guess she was right, he said. Then his eyes hardened as alarms started flashing red across the screen. They're landing. Outside, the clouds split open as a massive ship descended, its hull black as obsidian, lines of red light running across it like veins of fire. The ground cracked under the force of its engines. Smaller fighters swarmed around it. Forming a ring of steel around the outpost, the girl gasped. He came himself, she said in disbelief. He never leaves his flagship. Jack tightened his grip on the rifle. Then he must really want what you have, moments later. The radio console sparked to life. A deep, cold voice filled the room. Child, it said, echoing through every wall. You've run far enough, come home, and I may let the human live. The girl froze, her eyes wide with fear. Don't answer, Jack whispered. He's tracing the signal. But it was too late. A blinding red beam tore through the sky, striking the ground just outside the station. The blast threw Jack to the floor, alarms blaring. The entire structure trembled like it might collapse. Move, he shouted, grabbing her hand and pulling her toward the maintenance corridor. Metal beams fell behind them, sparks flying. The air was filled with smoke and the sharp smell of burnt wiring. They reached the lower hangar, where an old shuttle rested, dusty but still intact. Jack began activating the power systems. This old bird still has fuel, he said. We can get out of here. But the girl shook her head. He'll track us anywhere we go. The signal from the heart won't stop, Jack turned to her. His face set in determination. Then we stop it. You said your mother wanted it destroyed, right? She hesitated, holding the orb close. Yes, but if the heart dies, she dies too. The ship's lights flickered as if responding to her words. The orb's glow dimmed, almost like it was listening. Jack looked at her with sympathy. If we don't act, your father will enslave entire worlds. Tears fell down her cheeks. I know, she said softly, but I can't lose her again. Before Jack could respond, the roof of the hangar exploded and Lord Zyron himself descended through the smoke. His armor was black and gold, his eyes burning with crimson light. He was taller than any human, his voice like thunder wrapped in steel. You disappoint me, daughter, he said. You could have ruled beside me. The girl stepped back, clutching the heart. You killed Mother, she said in a trembling voice. You destroyed everything she loved. Zyron smiled darkly. She was weak, just like you. He raised his hand, energy crackling in his palm. Now, you'll give me what is mine. Jack stepped between them, rifle raised. You'll have to go through me first. Zyron's eyes glowed brighter. A human? He said mockingly. You think you can defy a god? Jack didn't answer. His finger tightened on the trigger. I don't need to be a god, he said quietly. I just need to be human. And as he fired the first shot, the heart of Alaris flared with blinding light, shaking the very air around them. The final battle had begun. The blast of Jack's rifle hit Zyron square in the chest, but the alien lord barely flinched. His armor shimmered, absorbing the impact as if it were nothing more than a spark. The air filled with the hiss of melting metal as energy flared between them. Zyron's crimson eyes glowed brighter, and his deep voice echoed through the hangar like thunder. Foolish human, he said. You think your primitive weapon can stop me? Jack didn't answer. He grabbed the girl's arm and pulled her behind a fallen beam as another wave of energy exploded where they had just stood. The floor cracked open, smoke and dust filling the air. You said your people built this place for mining? He shouted over the noise. She nodded quickly, trembling. Yes! Deep tunnels under the outpost. Old human war tech buried there too. Perfect, Jack said, slamming his hand onto a nearby panel. Then let's wake it up. He activated the station's defense grid. Ancient cannons and auto turrets hidden beneath layers of dust roared back to life. Red lights blinked on across the ceiling, and metal shutters slammed closed around the hangar's entrances. Sealing them inside, Siren soldiers began landing around the outpost, their ships glowing in the dark sky. The thunder of alien boots shook the earth, but the first wave never reached the door. The turrets came alive with bright blue fire, cutting through the storm like lightning. Drones exploded midair, and the night lit up in a storm of fire and smoke. Jack ran toward the main console, his face glowing in the red light. If I can route the energy through the reactor, I can overload the perimeter fence, he said. It'll fry everything outside, but it'll also blow this place to hell. The girl looked at him in horror. You'll die. Jack gave her a small grin. Maybe, but so will he. She shook her head fiercely. No, there's another way. My mother's essence, inside the heart, it can stop him, but it needs a link, a human one. Jack frowned. A link? The heart reacts to emotions, she said quickly. It connects to kindness, to courage, things my father no longer understands. That's why it showed you those visions, Jack's breath caught. He remembered the flashes, the dying world, the mother's final words, the child running through fire. He understood now. The orb wasn't just a weapon or a soul, it was hope itself. And it had chosen him. Then let's give it what it wants, he said. Hiron's heavy steps echoed closer. His massive figure emerged through the smoke, cape-torn, armor burning in places from the turret blasts. His voice was cold as iron. You cannot win, human. The heart belongs to me. Jack stepped forward, the orb's faint glow reflecting in his eyes. Then come and take it, he said. With a roar, Siren raised his hand, a beam of red energy blasting across the hangar. Jack dove to the side, rolling across the floor. Sparks burst everywhere. He reached the power conduit and slammed his hand onto the switch. Energy surged through the old systems, and the outpost's walls glowed white-hot. The turrets fired again, this time faster, stronger. Siren roared in anger, striking the floor with such force that the ground cracked. You think your machines can stop a god? Jack shouted back, I don't need to stop you, I just need to buy time. The girl held the orb close and whispered, Mother, please, help us. The heart of Alaris pulsed like a living heart, and a faint voice filled the air, soft yet powerful. Child, my brave one, the human's heart is pure, let me through him. A bright light wrapped around Jack's body, his mind filled with memories not his own, images of love, loss, and worlds long gone. He felt her pain, her strength, her sacrifice. The energy grew until his whole body shimmered like the orb itself. Siren hesitated, his rage faltering for the first time. Impossible. No mortal can wield her essence, Jack looked up, his eyes glowing gold. Maybe not mortal, he said, but definitely human. With a roar, he unleashed a wave of energy that blasted through the hangar. The turrets exploded outward, firing in perfect sync. Siren's soldiers disintegrated, and the sky outside turned white with light. Siren staggered, his armor cracking. You can't, he shouted, but Jack was already moving. Every step powered by the heart's will, he drove forward, punching through the shield and knocking the alien lord back into the debris. The hangar shook violently as the outpost systems overloaded. The walls split apart, sparks raining down. Jack turned toward the girl and shouted, Run! Get to the shuttle, now! She hesitated, tears streaming down her cheeks. You'll die. Jack smiled through the smoke. Someone has to make sure he stays down. She ran, clutching the orb as Jack faced the blinding storm of light. The reactor screamed, the metal twisted, and then silence from the distance as her shuttle rose into the clouds. The girl looked back and saw a pillar of golden fire consume the outpost, spreading across the sky like a sunrise. The heart of Alaris pulsed faintly in her arms, and she whispered through her tears, Goodbye, human. But far below, in the heart of the burning ruin, a faint blue spark flickered where Jack had stood, still alive, still human and not done yet. The storm of fire had ended. Leaving the outpost in ruins, smoke curled through the broken walls, and the night was silent except for the crackle of burning debris. The alien fleet above hovered in stillness, waiting for their master's command. Jack lay among the rubble, breathing hard. His uniform torn and burned, yet somehow he was still alive. The heart of Alaris pulsed faintly beside him. Glowing like a fallen star, a voice, soft as the wind, whispered through the air, "Human." "Rise." Jack opened his eyes slowly. The girl knelt beside him, tears streaking her silver cheeks. "You're alive," she said, her voice breaking. "I thought you were gone," Jack groaned, forcing himself to sit up. "Not yet," he said with a weak smile. "Guess humans are too stubborn to die." Above them, the sky split open. A red beam of light descended, and Lord Zyron appeared once more, his armor cracked but his presence still terrible. He walked slowly through the smoke, each step echoing with power. "You cannot win," he said. "The heart obeys me." The girl stood protectively in front of Jack. "No, father," she said firmly, "it never obeyed you. It only feared you." Zyron's gaze shifted to her. His voice grew colder. "You stole my creation, betrayed your blood. You think a human can protect you from me?" Jack forced himself to his feet, leaning on a metal beam. "You keep calling it your creation," he said, "but from what I've seen, it's more than that, isn't it? It's her." For a moment, Zyron froze. His eyes flickered with something, pain. Maybe even regret. "She was weak," he said finally, though his voice trembled. "She chose compassion over strength." The heart of Alaris floated slowly between them. Glowing brighter, a gentle, familiar voice filled the air. "And that is why you lost." "My love." The voice made Zyron stagger back, his eyes widened in disbelief. "No, it can't be," he whispered. "You're gone." The orb pulsed again, and the image of a woman appeared, tall, graceful and luminous. Her form was made of light, her eyes kind but powerful. "You destroyed our home," she said softly. "You used our people like tools. You called it order. But it was slavery." Jack stood still, awe in his eyes. The girl reached out to the glowing figure. "Mother." The queen's spirit turned toward her daughter and smiled. "You did well, my child. You brought the heart where it was meant to go." Zyron roared, energy crackling around him. "I built this. You were nothing without me." The queen's voice grew firm. "You built only your own prison, Zyron. I gave life to something you never could, hope." The heart flared, and beams of light wrapped around Zyron's armor. Binding him in place, he struggled, shouting in fury. But the harder he fought, the weaker he became. "You can't." "Stop, me!" Jack stepped closer, his voice steady. "You're right," he said. "But she can." He placed his hand on the heart, feeling its warmth flow through him. The light spread from his hand to the girls, linking them all, human and alien, together. The queen looked at Jack with gratitude. "Your kind still remembers what mercy means. You remind the stars that strength is not cruelty." Her light grew so bright that the entire sky turned white. The alien fleet above began to fade, their ships powering down as if the very energy sustaining them was being drained away. Zyron fell to his knees, his armor cracking open. "No," he whispered. "I am eternal." The queen's voice echoed softly. "Nothing eternal should forget love." With one final pulse, the heart released a wave of light that rippled across the horizon. The flames vanished, the clouds cleared, and the night grew calm again. When the light faded, Zyron was gone, no body, no trace, only a faint shimmer where he had stood. The girl fell to her knees, clutching the heart, tears of relief shining on her face. Jack looked around the quiet ruins, the stars glimmering above them. "It's over," he said softly. The queen's voice whispered one last time, fading into the air. "Guard her well, human. My child carries the future." The heart dimmed, settling in the girl's hands. And for the first time since he met her, Jack saw peace in her eyes, but deep inside him, he knew it wasn't truly over. Not when the galaxy had just witnessed what a single human could do. And somewhere in the distance, beyond the stars, other powers were already stirring, watching, and wondering what humanity really was. The wind swept through the ruins of the outpost, carrying the smell of smoke and metal. The storm had passed, leaving behind a pale sky filled with fading stars. Jack stood among the broken walls, staring at the horizon where the first light of dawn touched the alien world. Everything was quiet now, too quiet. The air that once shook with warships and thunder was still. The girl sat beside him, holding the heart of Alaris in her hands. Its light had dimmed to a soft golden glow, no longer pulsing with danger or power, but with calm, gentle warmth. She looked up at Jack. Her voice soft. "She's gone. My mother's spirit had faded after the light. Jack nodded slowly. Maybe she's not gone, he said. Maybe she's finally at peace. The girl smiled faintly, though her eyes still carried sorrow. I can feel her inside the heart, she whispered. But it's different now, it's quiet. Like she's resting. They both turned as the sky shimmered. A fleet of alien ships hovered in the distance, silent and uncertain without their leader's command. They no longer knew what to do. Jack placed a hand on the girl's shoulder. They're waiting for you, he said. Me? She asked, surprised. I'm just his daughter. They'll never follow me. Jack shook his head. No, you're her daughter. The Queens, he said firmly. They saw the truth. They saw who really ended this war. If you stand before them now, they'll listen. The girl looked down at the glowing heart, then at Jack. What about you? She asked quietly. Will you stay? Jack smiled faintly. Someone's got to tell the story, he said. Humans don't walk away from what they helped build. She hesitated for a long moment, then nodded and stood. Her silver hair shimmered in the light as she stepped onto the cracked platform that overlooked the valley. The alien ships turned slowly toward her. Their formation shifting, she lifted the heart high, and its light spread across the land like sunrise. This world, she said, her voice steady but full of emotion, has seen enough of fear, enough of rulers who think power means control. My father's rule ends today. My mother's dream begins now. Her voice echoed through the comm systems of every ship. Across every frequency, we are not bound by fear anymore. We will build something new, something worthy of the stars. The ships lowered slightly. One by one, in silent acknowledgement, their engines dimmed. And for the first time in generations, the sky above Alaris was free of war. Jack watched from behind, a small smile tugging at his lips. He didn't understand all her words, but he understood her courage. Humanity had done what it always did, take chaos and turn it into hope. When she turned back to him, her eyes were full of light. They'll rebuild, she said. But I can't do it alone. I'll need guidance, kindness, things your people have. Jack nodded. Then maybe humans and Alarans can learn from each other, he said. We've both made our share of mistakes. She took a step closer, holding the heart between them. Then take this, she said, a piece of it. For your world, before he could protest. The heart shimmered and a small fragment broke off. Floating toward him, it sank gently into his chest, leaving behind a faint golden mark over his heart. Jack gasped, feeling warmth surge through him. What did you do? He asked. She smiled softly. It's a bond, she said. If danger comes again, the heart will know where to find you. He laughed quietly, shaking his head. Guess that means I'm part of your story now. You always were, she replied, her tone gentle. From the moment I whispered those words, and please don't let my father find me, you changed everything. A deep silence followed, broken only by the distant hum of wind through the wreckage. Jack looked toward the horizon where the light grew stronger. So what happens now? The girl looked up at the sky, her eyes reflecting the sunrise. Now, she said, we rebuild not as conquerors but as family. Jack nodded, and together they stood side by side, watching the dawn rise over two worlds that had nearly destroyed each other, but were now bound by the smallest, simplest act. One human choosing compassion over fear. And as the ships drifted away and the morning light spread across the alien valley, Jack whispered under his breath, maybe the galaxy's not as big as it seems, far above. In the quiet of space, the last pulse of the heart shimmered, carrying its message across the stars.